In the pulsating heart of Wall Street, between ambition and principles, an analyst discovers signs of fraud that shake her world. Confronted with a devastating choice between financial security and moral integrity, Linda Stone faces powerful forces that threaten to destroy her. A journey where faith and courage will be tested at the limits of the human soul. The bus rattled through the busy streets of the financial district as Linda Stone mentally reviewed the presentation she would give in less than an hour. She adjusted the navy blue blazer she had bought on sale and checked once more her worn leather briefcase, a graduation gift from her mother, who had saved for months to buy it. Linda was only 27, but her brown eyes revealed a maturity forged by challenges. A distinguished graduate in finance from Columbia, she carried more than diplomas in that briefcase. She carried the hopes of Alyssa, her widowed mother who had cleaned offices for 15 years to pay for her education. Numbers don't lie, Linda. The voice of her father, Robert Stone, still echoed in her mind even 15 years after his death. An accountant at a small office, he had died of a heart attack when Linda was only 12, leaving as his legacy his unwavering integrity and that phrase which had become her moral compass. The bus stopped in front of the imposing skyscraper that housed Meridian Capital, one of the largest investment management firms in the country. Linda took a deep breath before passing through the glass revolving doors. 3 years ago, when she had secured the position of junior analyst, she could hardly believe her own luck. Now she occupied an unassuming desk on the 12th floor, where her talent for numbers was silently recognized. The office buzzed with the start of the day. Younger analysts rushed with coffee cups, traders shouted on the phone, executives in impeccable suits glided down the hallways. Linda greeted Margaret, the receptionist who always saved a donut for her on Fridays, and headed to her cubicle. "Good morning, number genius," joked Kevin, her colleague at the neighboring desk. With tousled red hair and ties that were always too colorful, he was a good-humored anomaly in that formal environment. "Ready for the quarterly presentation? I heard that Chen himself will be there." Linda felt a flutter in her stomach. David Chen, the legendary CFO of Meridian, rarely appeared at departmental meetings. At 42, he personified success on Wall Street, an impeccable Armani suit, a Mont Blanc pen always at hand, and a reputation for analytical brilliance mixed with a glacial temper. "I'll review the numbers one last time," she replied, turning on her computer. The morning passed by in a blur of spreadsheets and charts. At 11:30, Linda opened the pension fund files for her final check. That's when she noticed something, a transfer to an unfamiliar code. She frowned, checking the cross-references. Another similar transfer 3 weeks later, and another. They all followed a similar pattern, substantial amounts directed to accounts that did not appear in the official reports. Linda checked once, twice, 3 times. Her heart raced as the reality formed in her mind. This was no mistake. It was fraud, millions in ghost transactions. She looked at the clock, 20 minutes left until the meeting. Her hands trembled slightly as she printed the pages with the discrepancies. Her mind calculated the consequences. Pension funds meant retirements, meant families entrusting their savings to Meridian. Something needed to be done, immediately. "Rebecca," Linda called, approaching Chen's secretary. "I need to speak with Mr. Chen before the meeting. It's urgent." Rebecca, a middle-aged woman with perfectly arranged hair, raised an eyebrow. "He is busy preparing for the quarterly presentation." "Please," insisted Linda, her voice surprisingly firm despite her trembling hands. "It's about the numbers that will be presented. I found serious discrepancies." 5 minutes later, Linda was in the anteroom of Chen's imposing office. Her legs felt like jelly, but a deep certainty sustained her. She was doing the right thing. "Miss Stone," Chen's voice echoed through the intercom. "Come in." The office was exactly as the rumors described. Large glass windows offered a spectacular view of the city, the massive mahogany desk gleamed under the natural light, and an impressive collection of modern sculptures occupied the strategic corners of the room. Chen did not lift his eyes from the papers as she entered. "I hope this is important," he said, his voice controlled but with a clear note of irritation. "Mr. Chen, I found irregularities in the pension fund balances," Linda began, opening her folder. "Undocumented transfers, offshore accounts that don't appear in the SEC reports. We need to investigate before." Chen raised his hand, finally looking at her. His eyes were 2 dark, piercing stones. For a second, just a second, something seemed to falter on his face. A shadow of recognition, perhaps. Did he see in her what he once had been? "How long have you been here?" 3 years. He smiled, but there was no warmth in that gesture. Leave the complex analyses to those with experience. You're seeing problems where none exist. But sir, the numbers are correct. He stood up, walking until he was inches from her. His voice dropped, becoming pure ice. And if you value your career, I suggest you return to your desk and focus on the work you were hired to do. By the way, Linda, he paused, and his gaze became even more intense. I know your story. I know your mother relies on you. It would be a shame if something happened to your job. Do you understand me? The air seemed to leave Linda's lungs. It wasn't just a refusal to listen, it was a veiled threat, a choice being imposed. Her integrity or her financial security? Her mother. Linda left that office with shaky legs and a broken heart, the copies of the documents now weighing like lead in her bag. The meeting unfolded like a distant dream. Linda watched as Chen presented polished numbers and flawless growth charts. Smiles and congratulations filled the room when he finished. No one knew what lay behind those immaculate reports. That night, alone in her tiny apartment in the residential neighborhood, Linda cried for the first time in years. Her laptop was open with copies of the documents. One window displayed the SEC's whistleblower website. The other, a calculator with her student debts and her mother's rent. Could she be mistaken? Was her ambition to do the right thing jeopardizing everything? She opened the drawer and took out the Bible her mother had given her at graduation. Her hands trembled as she leafed through underlined pages. Then she knelt on the cold floor. God, I don't know what to do, she whispered, tears streaming down her face. My father always did the right thing and died with nothing. My mother sacrificed everything, and now I see something wrong and I'm afraid of losing everything, afraid of disappointing those I love. Her voice broke. But I know that you see what I don't see. If this is real, if these people are stealing from families who trusted their savings, please show me the way, give me courage. Let the truth come to light not by my strength but by your justice. And if I fall, may you hold my mother because I can't carry this alone. She remained there kneeling as silence filled the apartment. Then an inexplicable peace began to fill her chest. It wasn't an audible answer, it was something deeper. A soft yet firm certainty, you're not alone, do the right thing, I'll take care of the rest. The next morning, with still trembling hands but a resolved heart, Linda anonymously sent the documents to the SEC, and then hell began. 3 days later, Linda was called to HR. Her stomach churned as she entered the impersonal room where Janet, the human resources director, awaited her with a neutral expression. Miss Stone, we are restructuring the department, Janet said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Unfortunately, your position has been eliminated. Linda left the building at 10 in the morning with her belongings in a cardboard box. On the icy sidewalk, she called her mother. Mom, I lost my job. There was silence on the other side. Then the soft voice, did you do the right thing, my love? I did. Then God will honor that. It may not be the way we expect or in the time we want, but He will honor. For 2 weeks, Linda lived through her darkest moment. She sent out resumes. No one responded. The word had spread in the financial market. David Chen had made sure she was marked. Her savings were melting away. She would wake up at 3 in the morning with her heart racing. But every night she prayed. And every morning that inexplicable peace returned. Then, on a rainy Tuesday, everything changed. Linda was in an interview for a position well below her qualifications when her phone vibrated. A news notification. CFO of Meridian Capital under federal investigation for multi-million-dollar fraud. She rushed to the subway, her fingers trembling as she read. 3 men in gray suits had entered the Meridian office that morning. Federal auditors. The anonymous tip had triggered a massive investigation. $17 million over 5 years. Retirement money, ordinary family savings, diverted into personal accounts through a maze of shell companies and tax havens. And then she saw the picture, David Chen being escorted by federal agents, his impeccable Armani suit contrasting with the silver handcuffs on his wrists. Cameras surrounded him. His face, once so arrogant, was blank, shattered. Linda felt no joy, only a deep sadness for a man who had traded his soul for money that never satisfied him. 3 days later, exactly 18 days after her dismissal, Linda received a call. Miss Stone. This is Harrison Vale, CEO of Meridian Capital. We need to talk. Urgent. In the office on the top floor, Harrison Vale, a man with graying hair and tired eyes, welcomed her personally. Linda, we know it was you who alerted the authorities, and we also know that David fired you in retaliation. He took a deep breath. Your courage saved this company. More importantly, it saved the savings of 17,000 families, retirements, health plans, children's education. Linda felt tears stinging her eyes. "We are not only reversing your dismissal," Harrison continued, "but promoting you to Director of Compliance and Corporate Ethics. And there's more." He slid an envelope across the table. "The SEC offers rewards for whistleblowers in fraud cases, $2,400,000. The money is yours." Linda couldn't speak. She just covered her face with her hands and cried for the sleepless nights, for her mother's faith, for the prayers on the cold floor, for the provision that came just when everything seemed lost. That night she called her mother, who also cried on the phone, cried with relief, pride, gratitude to a God who never abandoned them. 3 weeks later, Linda received an unexpected message. David Chen from the Federal Detention Center had asked to see her. She almost refused, but something, perhaps that same gentle voice that had guided her there, made her accept. Separated by a thick glass, David Chen seemed to have aged 10 years. Without the expensive suit, without the Mont Blanc pen, without the mahogany office, he was just a broken man. "Why did you come?" he asked, his voice hoarse. "I don't know," Linda responded honestly. "Maybe because I needed to see that you're human, that you're not a monster, just someone who made wrong choices." "You destroyed my life," he said, but without anger, just fatigue. Linda took a deep breath. "No, Mr. Chen, you destroyed your own life. I simply chose not to be complicit." She paused. "My father taught me that numbers don't lie, and that doing the right thing always comes with a price. But I discovered something he didn't live to teach me. Doing the wrong thing costs infinitely more." David lowered his eyes. When he raised them again, there were tears there. "I also had an honest father, you know. He was a janitor. I was so ashamed. I swore I would be rich, that I would be respected. And along the way," his voice broke, "I lost myself, one lie at a time, one shortcut at a time. Until I no longer knew who I was." Linda felt compassion tighten her chest. There was the deepest lesson. No one wakes up one day and decides to be corrupt. It's a slow erosion of the soul. One compromise at a time, with what's convenient instead of what's right. "Mr. Chen, I did not come here to judge you. God knows I have also been tempted to take the easy road." She placed her hand on the glass. "But there is still time. Time to ask for forgiveness. Time to make things right with what remains. Your story doesn't have to end here." David looked at her for a long moment. Then he slowly nodded. 6 months later, Linda was in her new office overlooking the park. The leaves were beginning to yellow on the trees. On the glass wall behind her desk, she had hung 2 things. The first, a framed photo of her with her mother, both smiling on the day of her inauguration as director. Below, the words that sustained her during the darkest days: "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding." The second, a letter handwritten from David Chen. "Linda, I don't know if you believe in redemption, but I am trying to learn. The prayer groups here in prison have taught me something that Wall Street never did. That being worth something has nothing to do with how much you have. Thank you for reminding me that there is still time." DC. That afternoon, a young intern timidly knocked on her door. "Director Stone, I found something strange in the third quarter reports. I'm not sure if it's important, but..." Linda smiled and gestured for her to come in. "Sit down, show me what you found." As the young woman opened the laptop with nervous hands, Linda remembered herself 3 years earlier. Frightened, insecure, but doing the right thing nonetheless. And at that moment, looking at the city stretching out endlessly through the window, Linda understood something profound. Wall Street teaches how to make money. But it was my father, a simple accountant, who taught me how to sleep in peace. And in the end, that is worth infinitely more. Numbers have never lied, and God, she discovered, never abandons those who choose the truth, even when the whole world seems to be against you. Even when everything seems lost, even when the night is so dark that you can't see the dawn, because he not only sees, he acts, and his justice, though it may take time, always arrives.